Good morning, JPians. I am Vincent Silaran, and together with my group mates in the body number 13, we welcome you to this webinar entitled Kabag-uhan, a webinar about the proposed amendments to the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. Before anything else, we would like to greet everyone a very good morning today, and especially to our very supportive, dynamic, charming, and strong Dean of the College of Accountancy in St. Joseph College, Mr. Tristan June G. Esclamado, CPA, MBA. So, before we commence to the webinar proper, I invite everyone to put ourselves in the presence of God, for we will start with a short prayer to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem and the St. Joseph College hymn.
Lord God, thank you so much for giving us another day to study and prepare for a good life in the future. Thank you for giving us the chance to continue learning amidst the pandemic, which caused a lot of changes in our lives. Bless our parents who work hard to support us. Bless our teachers who are doing their best to inspire and guide us, especially in these trying times. Bless our country and the people who continue fighting to stop the pandemic. Lord, fill us with your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Give us good memory so that we might understand and remember what we are going to study now. These we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, helas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuyagan ang magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang bagaw, ay nilagang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iinit, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitinig. Luman ang araw ng wala.
Once again, I greet everybody. Very good morning. Shout out sa mga namahaw pa karon, sa mga wa pay ligo, and sa mga early morning audience na to. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also to Sir TJ, shout out to you, sir. Thank you for supporting us always. And so here we are. So before anything else, I would like to establish a few rules or a few reminders for everyone's benefit ingani nga webinar. So first of all, everyone is entitled to be respected. So sa atong conduct ingani nga webinar, let us please maintain a respectful atmosphere, and in addressing everyone, we must be respectful and courteous, and we must avoid using foul, vulgar, and unnecessary language and addressing everyone in this webinar. Also, in this webinar, everyone is entitled to be heard. So, kung naamoy mga questions diha, mga violent reactions, or anything nga gusto ninyong ipaabot diri namo sa mga speakers, kindly use the chat box to pagpa sabot or pagpasabot sa inyong mga queries and mga reactions, because we will entertain them later in the open forum reserved for this webinar. And finally, we ask your patience, your cooperation, and your ears for this entire venture, ani nga webinar, because in the course of this affair, we will be conducting an icebreaker wherein everyone has a chance to win 50 pesos load. Char. So, worth it na. And also, aning webinar, we all know nga after this, sometime later today, we will forward a quiz for all the participants to answer. So please bear with us and please listen carefully in the webinar this morning. So first of all, the question is, why are we here? So ako, sa mga wa pa nakaila na ho, ako di ay si Vincent Laran, and my job for this morning is to set the stage. Og unsa di ay ang mga inyong dapat i-expect ani nga webinar, and then I will be your guide for your deeper understanding, because this topic of ours is a new one and it needs a lot of patience, kay murag maingon tang po nga controversial ni siya nga topic, kay dako nig implication sa atong lives as future CPAs kung continue man gani. So my job is to illustrate and explain the explanatory notes of why the Philippine Accountancy Act had to be amended. So everyone must remember nga ang Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 or Republic Act 9298, gihimo ni sidyang law by the signature of the President in 2004. Guys, timan-inin ninyo ha, by the signature of the President, nahimo ni sidyang law in the year 2004. Timan ni sidya. And as we all know, dugay naman ang 2004, di ba? 17 years ago. It was 17 years ago nga na pasa ni nga law. So from 17 years ago, daghan na dyong nahitabo nga kabag-uhan or mga changes. So, ang mga minds behind the accountancy profession thought nga dapat magtukod tag mga kabag-uhan para ang atong mga future accountants nga atong gipangga pag-adyo, makasabay pud sila sa mga kabag-uhan sa environment sa accountancy profession. Mao nang di ata diri karon. Kailangan natong mahibaw-an og masabtan ang kaning mga kabag-uhan because this has a big effect to us aspiring CPAs and for future generations to come. So, the objectives of these changes, first of all, is redefining and adapting to new trends in the profession. In the course of our webinar, makit-an ninyo nga ang Board of Accountancy together with its partner agencies and regulatory bodies, nagtan-aw sila nga ang accountancy profession daghan ng kabag-uhan nga giagian. So, gusto sila nga makisabay ta. And of course, naaman joy mga opinion ang kada tao, so atong makit-an karon kung agree ba mo or di ba mo agree kay lagi sa ahon ng gikaingon sa kinaunhan medyo maingon tang po nga controversial sidya nga mga changes, but these are geared for our own good. Also, makita nato sa pag-course sa among webinar nga ang BOA or ang Board of Accountancy na karon ang naay exclusive oversight and supervision over the registration, accreditation, and the practice of accountancy in the Philippines to the exclusion of other government regulatory agencies. Pasabot ane nga dako og papel ang BOA sa pagmando sa atong profesyon. Sila ang guiding agency together with their partner agencies. Anyway, ma-explain na ni sidya in-depth sa atong mga tinahod nga reporters later. Also, gihatagan pod og dakong pagtagad sa revisions sa Republic Act 9298 ang mga paghimo og mga standard setting bodies kay lagi nakisabay man ta sa mga kabag-uhan sa accountancy profession. Kay imagine na 17 years ago pa na pasa ang Republic Act 9298. So daghan ng kabag-uhan nga naagian ang profesyon. So to keep up with these changes, na sila gihimo nga mga standard setting bodies, og maghimo kag mga standard setting bodies, kailangan jud na sila kwarta para maka-function sila tarong. So gihatagan pog emphasis ug unsaon ay pag-appropriate sa ilang funding or sa ilang budget. And of course, usa sa pinakadako nga rason nga nung gi-revise ang Republic Act 9298 is because of the fact nga ang mga government agencies mutabang sa Board of Accountancy sa pagpanindot sa accountancy profession because there's a saying nga it takes a village to bring up a child. So, it takes the effort of everyone in the nation to make the accountancy profession the good and quality profession that it needs to be para nato tanan. And also, dire, makita nato ang pinaka-controversial sa tanan nga mag-adapt na og pass or fail system sa Philippine Accountancy Act, and then wa na ang Conditional Status, and di na nila ipakita ang mga ranked results or mga results sa ranking. And in line with this, ahong ipasabot sa tanan nga sa pag-discuss na mo sa revisions sa Republic Act 9298, basin matinga mo nga duha ka paragraphs ang among diskusyon, because we will do a compare and contrast kumbaga kung unsay difference sa old Accountancy Act and sa new Accountancy Act. So adyaw mo katinga nga, for example, ang akong kauban mo discuss siya nga section 17 sa amendment, andya mo point out pud me og section 40, because we will do compare and contrast with the old law and the new law. So this requires utmost patience. So bear with us guys, please. Also, makit-an po nato, moving on, sa among webinar nga naikabag-uhan sa mga requirements para maka-exam ta sa board exam, and then nga nag-require siya og 2 years experience before ta maka-take sa board exam. This will be discussed in depth later. Also, gihatagan pug pagtagad sa new Accountancy Act ang pagpalig-on sa accountancy profession sa pag-require sa continuing professional development. Kay kita as future professionals mag-continue man gyapon tag-learn and develop bisag professional na ta. Kay it is a mark of humility mampod. And also, aron ang Accountancy Act mulig-on siya kay ang mga agencies magtabang man sila aron mulig-on ang accountancy profession, para ang mga professionals na tong accountants in the future apil na ta gets the best job and the best shot at life possible. So bisan pag complicated ni siya guys, maingon tang nga it is for us also. And importante pod nga gihatagan og kanang pagtagad nga ang mga CPA mosunod sa Code of Ethics, because without the Code of Ethics di ta maka-function as true accountants. Kay ang atong job naman pud na moral nga responsibility nga dapat natong sundon. Di raman ta concern sa numbers, concern man pud ta sa batasan. Sa gikaingon pa ni Sir TJ sa ijang usa ka chat, emphasis must be placed on attitude, and this is where the Code of Ethics comes into play. And of course, sa pagpalig-on sa usa ka profession and anywhere you say, dapat jud nga makuan mo ang imong money matters, kwarta. So makit-an pud nato sa course sa among webinar giunsa nila siguro nga ang kwarta nga mahatag nila gikan sa government is magamit jud aron mo improve jud ang accountancy profession. So maura to ang ahong maingon tang report for this morning. I will pass the floor over to Miss Gretchel Layola, because she will be in charge of explaining to you, our valued listeners and viewers, the initial amendments to the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. So we will get to know each other with the help of Miss Gretchel Layola. So thank you very much and good morning once again. So Miss Gretchel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Laran. Good day, seniors. I am Gretchen Virayola, tasked to discuss the initial parts, sections 1 to 5 of the proposed amendments to the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. But before anything else, I would like you to know that the flow of my report is I will alternately discuss the selected sections of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 and the specific amendments. As what Mr. Laran said, supposedly, we're only going to discuss the Bill of Amendments. However, we might find hard to comprehend if we have no idea where is the section being amended and what is it all about. That is why I will also going to discuss both to avoid confusion. By the way, I put a mark whether the section is under the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 or under the proposed revised Accountancy Act. Moving on, Republic Act number 9298, section 1, which is the short title. This act shall be known as the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004, while Section 1 of the proposed revised Accountancy Act, it shall be known as Accountancy Act of 2021. Then, Section 2 of the proposed revised Accountancy Act, Section 4 of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 is hereby amended. So here's the Section 4 of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004, which deals with the scope of practice. The practice of accountancy shall include, but not limited to the following. Letter A, practice of public accountancy. Shall constitute in a person, be it his or her individual capacity or as a partner or as a staff member in an accounting or auditing firm, holding out himself or herself as one skilled in the knowledge, science, and practice of accounting, and as a qualified person to render professional service as a certified public accountant, or offering or rendering or both to more than one client on a fee basis, otherwise services such as the audit or verification of financial transaction and accounting records, or the preparation, signing, or certification for clients of reports of audit, or the balance sheet and other financial accounting and related schedules, exhibits, statements, or reports which are to be used for publication or for credit purposes, or to be filed with a court or government agency, or to be used for any other purpose, or the design, installation, and revision of accounting system, or the preparation of income tax returns when related to accounting procedures, or when he or she represents clients before the government agencies on tax and other matters related to accounting, or renders professional assistance in the matters relating to accounting and the recording and presentation of financial facts or data. Then letter B, practice in commerce and industry, shall constitute in a person who is involved in decision making where the professional knowledge of science in practice and accounting is necessary, or when such employment or position is required as certified public accountant, so that the holder thereof must be a certified public accountant. Then letter C, practice in education or academe, shall constitute in a person in an educational institution which involves the teaching of accounting, auditing, management advisory services, finance, law, business taxation, and other technically related subjects, provided that the members of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines may be allowed to teach business law and taxation subjects. And letter D, practice in the government shall constitute in a person who holds or is assigned to a position in an accounting professional group in government or government-owned and or controlled corporation, including those performing proprietary functions where decision-making requires professional knowledge in the science and practice of accounting, or where civil service eligibility as a certified public accountant is a prerequisite. Then, Section 4 of the proposed revised Accountancy Act deals with the definition of practice of accountancy. The practice of accountancy is defined as offering to perform or performing attest and or compilation services. Letter B, offering to perform or performing for other persons one or more types of the following services involving the use of professional skills or competencies, but not limited to accounting, management advisory services, financial advisory, and tax, including the professional services rendered to clients in any and all matters related to accounting concepts, and to the recording of financial data or information or preparation or presentation of financial statements. Letter C, performing for one's employer, a private entity, or government of one or more types of services, but not limited to accounting, financial, corporate finance, tax, audit, and compliance, including the signing, delivering, or issuing any financial accounting or related statement or report, and the use of professional skills or competencies. And letter D, teaching of accountancy, auditing, management services, finance, business law, taxation, and other related subjects offered by schools and colleges recognized by the CHED or by authorized government offices. Then, Section 3, a new section is introduced in Section 4 and of the same act, and it is the Section 4A, which is all about the definitions. For number 1, attest means providing the following accountancy services, which all require the independence of licenses. Letter A, any audit to be performed in accordance with the domestic and international auditing standards or other similar standards promulgated by the Board and Commission. Letter B, any review of a financial statement to be performed in accordance with the domestic and international accounting standards promulgated by the Board and the Commission. Letter C, any examination to be performed in accordance with the attestation standards promulgated by the Board and the Commission. Then number 2, Certified Public Accountant or CPA means any person who received a license from the Professional Regulation Commission to practice accountancy in the Philippines. And number 3, compilation means providing a service that presents in the form of financial statements information that is the representation of the management or owners of the clients without undertaking to express any assurance of the accuracy of information in the financial statements to be performed in accordance with the standards promulgated by the Board and the Commission. And number 4, firm, which means a domestic entity organized as a sole proprietorship or general professional partnership established for business purpose of lawfully engaging the practice of accountancy. Then, Section 4, 9B of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. Section 9 deals with the powers and functions of the board. The board shall exercise the specific power, function, and responsibility. So letter B, to supervise the registration, licensure, and practice of accountancy in the Philippines. However, in the proposed revised Accountancy Act, the board shall exercise the power, function, and responsibility to have exclusive oversight and supervision over the licensure, registration, accreditation, and practice of accountancy in the Philippines. Lastly, Section 5, Section 9N of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. Again, Section 9 deals with the power and functions of the board. The board shall exercise the power, function, and responsibility to, letter N, to ensure in coordination with the Commission on Higher Education or CHED or other authorized government offices that all higher educational instructions and offering of accountancy comply with the policies, standards, and requirements of the course prescribed by the CHED or other authorized government offices in the areas of curriculum, faculty, library, and facilities. While in the proposed revised Accountancy Act, the board shall exercise the power, function, and responsibility to coordinate with the Commission on Higher Education or CHED and other authorized government offices in ensuring that all higher educational instructions and offering of accountancy education comply with the policies, standards, and requirements prescribed by CHED and other authorized government offices in the areas of curriculum, faculty, library, and facilities. So that's all for my part. Thank you. And here's Ella Mabasa for the next topic.
Hello guys, good morning. I am Elodie Mabasa and I am assigned to discuss to you starting from section 6 up to section 11 of this bill. However, before we proceed to this amendment, let us first go over the section 9G of the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. It is to monitor the conditions affecting the practice of accountancy and adopt such measures including promulgation of accounting and auditing standards, rules and regulations, and best practices as may be deemed proper for the enhancement and maintenance of high professional, ethical, accounting and auditing standards. Now for this bill, it has aimed to legitimize the creation of standard setting bodies. It is for the reason that they have to justify the appropriation of funds to carry out their functions. It is stated here under Section 6 that standard setting bodies shall be established by the Commission to assist the Board in the promulgation and adoption of domestic and international accounting and auditing standards and generally accepted best practices. Now let's proceed to Section 7, which states that Section 14 of the same Act is hereby amended to read as follows. For the information of everyone, Section 14 is all about the requirements for a license as a certified public accountant. Actually, under the Philippine Accountancy Act, it only states 4 qualifications of the applicants upon taking the board examination. The first one is the applicant must be a Filipino citizen. Second one is of good moral character. The third one is a holder of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Accountancy conferred by a school or college duly recognized by the CHED. And the fourth one has not been convicted of any criminal offense involving moral turpitude. So mao ang under the Philippine Accountancy Act. However, for this amendment, they have listed additional requirements. And the first one is they must file an application with the Commission. And the second one is age requirement. Must be at least 21 years of age. And as you can see here in the fifth requirement, is a holder of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Accountancy conferred by a school or college duly recognized by the CHED or holder of a degree conferred by a foreign school or college of accountancy. So dinhi, gitugutan na nila ang katong mga Filipino citizens or mga students nga graduates from foreign schools. And graduates of foreign schools shall be required to enroll in any school or college duly recognized by the CHED for 1 year or 2 semesters and complete at least 30 unit sub-subjects related to Philippine business laws and taxation and such other subjects covered by the licensure examination. This amendment is good so far because they have given the Filipino citizens or graduates from foreign schools to the chance to take up the examination. And this one is a good thing kay what gihatagan na ta nila og right ng Filipino citizens to take up the examination. And the next requirement is a very controversial one because they have required to have at least 2 years of diversified experience in any field of practice in accountancy. The main reason why they required it because they believe that it would give us a greater chance in passing the licensure examination. And this would be a major step for them to increase or to improve the national passing percentage of the CPA licensure examination. I don't know, maybe those 2 years experience will help us to be familiarized about the topics, the theories, the problems that they have taught us during our college years. And since we have done it in work, ato nang gibuhat si Jack, in reality, then maybe during written examination, it would be easy for us to analyze those theories and problems given during the exam. And I can tell nga ang time ra gajud, only time can tell if ever this requirement is effective once the amendment will be approved. And of course, the last requirement is you have to pass the licensure examination in accordance with the provisions of Section 15 and Section 16 of the same Act. So let's proceed to Section 8 of this bill, which states that Section 15 of the same Act is hereby amended to read as follows. So here are the subjects covered during the examination under this bill. So the first one is financial accounting and reporting. The second one is advanced financial accounting and reporting, management services, auditing, taxation, regulatory framework for business transactions. On the other hand, here are the 7 subjects covered by the CPA examination under the Philippine Accountancy Act. So the first one is theory of accounts, business law and taxation, management services, auditing theory and problems, practical accounting problems 1 and 2. Now moving on to Section 9 of this bill, which has amended the Section 16 of the Philippine Accountancy Act. Section 16 of the Philippine Accountancy Act is all about the process in determining the rating in the licensure examination. So in order to be qualified as having passed the licensure examination for accountants, a candidate must obtain a general average of 75% with no grades lower than 65% in any given subject. So mao ni ang usual, mao ni ang current nga atong ang process sa pagdetermine sa rating in the licensure examination. In the event a candidate obtains a rating of 75% and above in at least a majority of subjects as provided for in this Act, he or she shall receive a conditional credit for the subjects passed. Provided that a candidate shall take an examination in the remaining subjects within 2 years from the preceding examination, provided further that if the candidate fails to obtain at least a general average of 75% and a rating of at least 65% in each of the subjects re-examined, he or she shall be considered as failed in the entire examination. So to further understand this process, I have here illustrations. Illustration 1 shows that the examinee got a general average of 75%. And for all his 7 subjects, he didn't get a grade lower than 65%. So the candidate is considered passed. So let's proceed to illustration 2. As you can see, for all his 7 subjects, he didn't get a grade lower than 65%, so pasar siya. However, sa iyang general average, nakakuha man siya, he obtained a general average below 75%. So the candidate is considered failed because the general average is less than 75% even if no rating fell below 65%. Now let's go to conditional status. There are three requirements or conditions that kailangan natong i-met. So number one is obtain a general average of 75% or above. And majority, take note the word majority of his or her subjects has a rating of 75% or above. And the remaining subjects obtain a rating of 65% less. So as you can see in illustration 3, the candidate get a general average of 75%. Okay. However, 3 out of his 7 subjects, he get a grade lower than 65%. Thus, the candidate is subject to a conditional status. Now, in relation to the conditional status of the examinee, a candidate shall take an examination in the remaining subjects within 2 years from the preceding examination, provided further that if the candidate fails to obtain at least a general average of 75% and a rating of at least 65% in each of the subjects re-examined, he or she shall be considered as failed in the entire examination. Now, let's go back to the section 9 of the bill. Sa ilang gi-propose, in order for us, mga applicants, pohon, to pass the licensure examination for certified public accountants, an examinee must obtain a rating of passed in all subjects. And a rating of passed is equivalent to a numerical rating of at least 75% in such subject. And the report of rating shall not indicate the numerical score obtained, but shall only specify that the examinee either passed or failed in each subject. So this amendment, they only give a rating of pass to the examinee without indicating the numerical scores obtained during the examination. And possibly, this modification on the process in determining the rating in the licensure examination would help them produce more competent CPAs and will probably improve the national passing percentage of the CPA licensure examination. Moving on to Section 10 of this bill, which states that Section 17 of the same act is hereby amended. Section 17 is all about report of rating and publication of the results of licensure examination. It is stated here that the official results of the examination shall only contain the names of those who pass and fail the licensure examination without indication as to the passing or the failing score. As I have said earlier, they report nila only the rating of pass and failed without indicating the numerical scores obtained. And also without indication as to the rank in their respective schools and colleges. So, dili na sila mag-ranking. It's either names ra or alphabetical order. Wala na indication. Top 1 ka, top 3, top 2. No, wadila na siya mo matter diri nga amendment. Now, in addition, examinees who pass and fail the licensure examination are not entitled to receive their examination papers or to see their scores. I have talked about it with Sir TJ, and according to him, he said that maybe the BOA doesn't want to be inconvenienced once the paper will be released. Because human as we are, we commit errors and mistakes. Now, if they will release the papers, the examination papers, and there are some experts nga madiscover sa errors, it will affect them negatively because people will start questioning their credibility to give a liable examination to all examinees, I mean. And moving on, schools and colleges and review centers are prohibited from publishing names of their top performing students and reviewees in newspapers of general circulations, in other types of mass media, and in all types of social media platforms. The publication of top-notchers nga mga reviewees is prohibited. It is because this has become a marketing strategy for some review centers. Just like si PAR, nga daghan silang mga top-notchers nga mga reviewees. Then, katong mga fresh grads pa nga, dito ta sa CPAR kay daghan silang graduates nga mga top-notchers because maybe high quality ilang educations. Then how about the mga aspiring review centers? When in fact, dire gyud na mag-start nato ra jud nga ako galingon if ganahan ta mo pasar maning kamot ta, and ang mga review centers mo guide na sila towards our journey. Kita ang driving force towards our journey. So we're down to my last part, which is section 11. It states here that section 18 of the same act is hereby deleted. For your information, section 18 is all about the granting of refresher course to all the failing candidates. The granting of the conduct of refresher course is being discontinued. It is because the katupong grant sa conditional status of the examinee is gidiscontinue siya. That's why ang refresher course gidelete na under this amendment. And that would be all for my report. Thank you for listening. But before we proceed to the next part, we will be having our icebreaker. So, ang kaning icebreaker, kung whoever kanang maka-type of first sa chat box sa answer, then he or she shall be considered the winner. And our prize will be a 50 pesos load. So, ready na mo? Wait. So, please, pwede mag-open mo sa inyong camera? If okay ra. So, we'll be having our icebreaker. Hi, Fel. Can you please open your cam? Thank you for your cooperation. I really appreciate that. Igang judere. So, ready na? Kung kinsa tong ma-first nga mo type sa chat box, maka-receive sila og 50 pesos load, or pwede ra pud mo PM na ho nga ganahan mo cash nga di ninyo ipa-load. Pwede ra na ho ihatag ang 50 pesos. So, the first one. So, our first question. Who is the father of accounting? Go! Okay, we got a winner. Pamugas manis bakla, uy. So, we got a winner. So, our winner for the first question. Dun-dun-dun. Dugaya kay loading. Kenneth Honrada. Bayot, pwede ra ka mo PM bayot sa imong prize. So, next question. Napami remaining 2 questions. So, the second question, dapat kumpleto ha, way pakyas ning mga kuan. Second question, who is our dean? Who is the dean of in the College of Accountancy? Uy, Gail, correct. Sir Tristan. Asam si Gail. Kinanhan. Tristan June, G. Exclamado, CPA, MBA. Complete. Play, Gail. So, we're down to our last question. Paspas mo ha. So, our last question. Who is our current governor? Again, who is our current governor? Uy, Renz. So, natin lain ha. So, we got a winner. Renz. Lazarna. Renz Lazarna. Thank you. Thank you guys for your cooperation. Pwede mo PM na ho. Ganahan mo mag-load or ganahan mo cash nga 50 pesos. It's up to you. And thank you for your cooperation. Thank you. And I will give the floor to our next reporter, which is Mr. Gerard Miones.
Good morning, everyone. I am Gerald Munoz. I'm here to discuss to you the new look of the accountancy profession, which is amendments stated in Section 12 to 16 of the bill. So Section 12, same act with the Section 28, with the proposed revise of accreditation of a firm, which is a firm, a single proprietor, or a partnership engaged in the practice of accountancy shall be registered as a certified public accountant in the Philippines and shall be required to apply for an accreditation with the board and the commission every 3 years before it will be allowed to practice accountancy. In Section 28 in Republic Act Number 9298 of 2004 says that a certificate of accreditation shall be issued to certified public accountant by public practice only upon showing with the accordance of rules and regulation promulgated by the board and approved by the commission, that every registrant shall have a minimum of 3 years of meaningful experience by working in public areas like taxation, commerce, accounting, and other budgeting administration. Hereby amended in Section 12 that to remove the 3 years of experience requirements for initial accreditation because the CPA has already required a 2 years of experience before taking the examination. And the board and the commission shall establish in regulations an accreditation process for the firms, their staff and partners, including the requirements in the application and accreditation, repertorial requirements, imposition of fees, procedures in the renewal or revocation of an accreditation, or to take other disciplinary action for cause. Section 30, same act with the Section 30 with the proposed revise of integration of the accountancy profession, which is that the accountancy profession shall be integrated into one national organization which shall be accredited by the board subject to the approval by the commission as the integrated and accredited professional organization of certified public accountants, provided however that such an organization shall be registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission as a non-profit, non-stock corporation to be governed by laws providing for democratic election of each officials. So a certified public accountants who are required to pay for their after paying for their required fees and dues, then a certified public accountants who are duly registered with the board, then he or she will be automatically become a member of an integrated and accredited professional organization of certified public accountants, and he or she will be entitled for the benefits and privileges of this act. Then, if you become a member of an integrated and accredited professional organization of certified public accountants, and you will not be a prerequisites in any membership in other organizations or associations. Section 14, same act with the Section 31 with the proposed revise of accreditations of CPAs in academe, which is amended to inclusive exclusive inclusions provision regarding of accreditations of CPAs in academe, which is that engage in the practice of accountancy shall be required to be accredited with the board and the commission every 3 years. So the board and the commission shall establish in regulations an accreditation for accounting teachers, including the requirements for initial accreditation and conditions for renewal of accreditation, imposition of fees, procedures in the renewal, revocation, or suspension of accreditation, and other related matters. Section 15, same act with Section 32 with the proposed revise of continuing professional development. So each registered certified public accountants as well as those employed by the firms as certified public accountants, either they are partners or staff, should comply with the mandatory continuing professional development so that they could see the real world of what they are doing and also to have their code of ethics, and all certified public accountants shall abide by the regulations on mandatory continuing professional development promulgated by the board and the commission in coordination with the accredited national professional organization of of certified public accountants or any accredited educational institutions. Then all certified public accountants who do not satisfy with the mandated continuing professional development of requirements shall not be allowed to practice until they meet such requirements and they have been issued their current PICs by the Commission. Then the Section 16 is the new act of the provisions, which is the rules of professional conduct. So the board shall adopt rules of professional conduct to establish and maintain high standards of competence and integrity in the practice of accountancy, and to ensure that the conduct of the practice by certified public accountants serve the best interest of the public. So it's called the Code of Ethics. Then the final provision will be discussed by Christine Lapot. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Are you still there, guys? Kumusta mo? And I would like to say good morning, especially to Doc Anya Viesa for being here to this webinar. So once again, good morning everyone. I am Christine May Silapot, the last reporter of this webinar. And I am tasked to discuss the final provision of the amendments to the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004, which covers Section 17 through the 21st of the bill concerning the amendments to the RA 9298. So, let's begin. Section 17 discusses itself or concerns itself with the funding provision. And it states there that the 40th section of this RA 9298 has been amended. So, ang Section 17 is nag-point out ni Sija sa Section 40. So, it is only right to first look at what Section 40 really is about. And sa Section 40 talks about the funding provision. And sa states there nga, ang Old Accountancy Act talks about the funding provision, and the highlight of this provision or section is that the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC is the agency which partners with the BOA in terms of carrying out the programs needed to strengthen the profession of accountancy. However, sa new proposed law, it has now been changed from the PRC to the CHED, and the CHED now partners with the BOA or Board of Accountancy to carry out vital programs that will be beneficial for those who intend, such as students or colleges and the others, and those who are already into the practice of accountancy. And also, it is pivotal to look at the fact that Congress shall continue to provide funding for the practice of accountancy as long as ang BOA o ang iyang partners remain loyal to the oath which they took. So take note that sa old accountancy is that ang PRC or Professional Regulations Commission is ang partner sa BOA, while sa new proposed law is ang CHED na ang partner sa BOA together with the Education Technical Council to assess the BOA. So let's proceed to the next section. Section 18 talks about the transitory provision, which simply means that these amendments that we have been talking about all throughout this webinar, if namati mo, shall be applicable for and effective for the licensure examination of 2022. If and when this set of amendments will be passed within that point of time. And also, the new bill provides a separability clause. From the word itself means that if one part of this bill will be deemed unconstitutional or one o juni sa Supreme Court or any regulatory body which can deem it unconstitutional, then the entire bill will not be affected. So in this section talks about nga kung unsa ra to nga section ang na-deem unconstitutional is maura to siya ang maapektuhan, not the entire law itself. So the next section is the repealing clause. Repealing clause means that once the new Accountancy Act passes and becomes a law, this law will only be repealed or not put into effect once a counter law, law against law, is passed to deem it ineffective. So gibali ang usa ka law mawad-an na siya og effect if na ay law nga against niya nga mapasa. And lastly, the effectivity. Effectivity means that this act shall take effect 15 days following its publication, or at least 2 national newspapers in the general circulation, or in the government usage, if and when this bill passes and becomes a law. So, gibali, ang bill, igmapasses siya and mahimog law, kailangan pa siya i-publish sa newspaper within sa general circulation, then maghuwat siya 15 days, then after 15 days, aron siya ma-effect. So, that's all for my part this morning. Thank you, and God bless. We shall now proceed to the open forum of this webinar session. Thank you.
Okay.
Stop na.
Alright. So, naapa mo guys? Can I hear someone? Okay, so again, let me recognize the presence of Dr. Anavesa and of course the presence of our Dean, Mr. Tristan Jun Exclamado, for gracing this morning's affair. So now we come to the part where your voices will now be heard. Me and my group mates are standing here ready to accommodate any question that might come to your senses. And we will try our best to answer those queries. So, if you want to use the mic, kindly unmute lang and raise your question, or if kung mauwaw mo nga mo voice out, kindly use the chat box and type in your questions.
Ano may ng questions?
Why questions?
Kung ano questions, kung yung ba,
So, any questions kung going once, going twice, going thrice? Sige. So, let me emphasize something muna nga important. What we discussed this morning is just a bill. Bill panisda, meaning this piece of legislation is up for debate pa. Di pa dyan ni siya ingon nga enforceable. Okay? Because for it to become enforceable, it must pass both the House, the Senate, in a bicameral conference, and then it must reach the desk of the President for his approval. And as of this moment, as of this webinar, this piece of legislation has been considered to be as a bill. So it's not a law yet, proposed pa. So are there any questions or violent reactions or anything that you want to raise for us?
If okay na, out na ta.
Depende ni sir, si sir.
Saman.
Magawa ta. And okay. Sige. For those who have trouble connecting, we have planned to have a photo op. But for those who wish to fill up their attendance, we have sent a link to the chat box and a link to the GC for those who wish to fill up their attendance. And also, let me remind everyone that this afternoon we will have the mock board at exactly 2 p.m. This is the test concerning taxation, and also it covers theories and applications. Theories only?
Theories.
Theories only the I, kono. And we will have 100 items in 60 minutes. So, best of luck to all of us. And God bless. And also, after the mock board at exactly 5 p.m., we will send to the GC the link to the quiz regarding this webinar. So kung naamoy mga pangutana, o pwede ra mangutana. And don't worry because the test type is true or false. 15 items lang siya but worth 30 points. Okay? And you have 1 day to answer. Kay 5 p.m. among isend, then available siya until 5 p.m. the next day, which is Sunday.
So we'll end our seminar by a group picture na lang. Ina na.
Sige.
Dali na mo guys.
So, we will end the wait.
Sige.
We will also forward to the meeting the evaluation form, which we will do. And we have done it already. So please fill up those evaluation forms as honestly as possible. So let us end this affair with a photo opportunity. So please, sa mga maka-on og cam, please do turn on your camera.
Dali na mo guys. So, ni. O saan? Katingin mo? Mo screenshot? Mo screen rec? Isa. Dago. Balik. Isa.
Balik. So,
Dali, okay, so dali. Pa. 1, 2, 3, go. Another, asa man ni pag next day ni mas siya next sa ano kaya
63.
63. And now 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, 3. Okay na. Thank you.
Cute del piba.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for listening. Thank you, sir. Good. Dr. Hi, Dr. Anyabesa. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I-end na.
Thank you. Pwede na mo out, sir.
Thank you.
All is good.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Happy time.
We will pass a recording of this session later para sa kadtong wa nakasod. Thank you very much. Good luck sa exam.